Joe from Tax and Income Planning. I just really wanted to do an addendum to my long and short video I did, long and short positions with respect to investing. I don't want to talk, this addendum is not going to talk on the long side of things, but on the short side of things. I gave an analogy where on short selling to try to make it understandable. I talked about borrowing a pound of sugar from someone, selling it to someone else, taking the proceeds, putting it in a or keeping your proceeds from that sale, and then waiting for the price of sugar to go down, and then taking the proceeds from that sale, buying the sugar at a reduced price and selling it or giving it back to the person you borrowed it from. That's it in a nutshell. I got a phone call from someone, and they were asking quickly, where do you get this? These shares. Like if I wanted to short whatever company I'm in, like how do I do that? Where do I get the shares from? You don't have to go to Craigslist. You don't have to go to Kijiji looking for someone that owns the shares. You're simply going to talk to your broker. And they are in possession of literally, have to be like tens of thousands of shares. They have access to this. They have thousands of customers that have thousands of positions and sitting in their vault. And they're accessible to lend out, and that's part of your actual brokerage agreement, somewhere probably buried about 8 pages into it, and fine print stating that they're going to do stuff with your shares. Unbeknownst to you, I'm sure people don't read all these things, but what they do is they will borrow shares out of their safe, go sell the shares, put the money in your account, and then when you go to buy back into the market, they'll make all those arrangements for you. Easy as pie. Also got thinking, the more I thought about that question, is there other reasons why you'd want to short? I did state that you would be selling something that didn't belong to you, something that wasn't yours, borrowing a pound of sugar and selling it to the other neighbor. You didn't own the sugar, you just borrowed it. And when I was trained, I don't realize how long ago this was, but I was instructed on a type of sale. It was called shorting against the box. And what you're simply doing is actually shorting your own stock. Why would someone do that? Why would you borrow 100 shares, or why would you borrow whatever shares you're trying to short from yourself rather than from someone else? And I want you to know that in 1997, this is why I'm shocked that I know this stuff, because this is old. But back in I'm going to stop there. They changed the law in 1997. The reason why someone would do that is in the U.S. If you bought shares and traded them within 12 months, the income that you earned on that transaction was taxed to you in a marginal on your marginal tax rate, which could be high. Okay, so if you bought a stock and traded it one day after your 12-month anniversary, it was taxed at a preferred rate. So if you bought shares on January 1st of the year and you didn't want to wait until January 2nd of the next year, and the transaction has worked out in your favor and you want out of it but don't want to be taxed at a higher rate, what you'd simply do is short against the box. You would actually short the sale, and then come January 2nd, in this example, one day past the 12-month period, you would buy back into the market and give it to yourself and sell. So in essence, what you did with that is you paid less taxes. You were able to sell it at the time that you wanted and deferred the transaction to one day after the 12 months, and you lived happily ever after. Well, apparently the IRS saw the beauty in this transaction and made some alterations in 1997. I have no clue why anybody would want to short against the box if there's without having a tax angle on it. Like mechanically there's no sense to it. If you wanted, like in Canada, if I bought it in January 1st and sold it in August 1st, I would pay a capital gain. If I bought it in January 1st and sold it January 2nd of the following year, it would be a capital gain. In Canada, that's just the way it is. But in the US, they have a different rules for these people that are traders, uh, people that trade stocks for a living. They see that if you do it in the short time period, that it's more of a work effort than rather than an investment, which is viewed more of a long-term thing. I did do some research quickly, and there's something that's illegal about on a short sale, and that's selling, shorting naked. You don't necessarily have to have all your clothes off. Simply, what they're saying is that you're not in possession, clear possession of the share certificates that you're shorting. So never mind borrowing shares to sell to the guy. Uh, you're actually borrowing shares, not even in being in possession of it, and selling it to the other fellow. That's selling, shorting naked, and you don't want to do it. The reasons why this could happen, in my reading quickly, is simply because of a lot of these electronic transactions that happens so quickly and that kind of stuff that this could happen. Don't worry about it. Deal with your broker. Deal with a good company. Educate yourself, especially on short selling on any kind of investments, um, but specifically some of these trickier ones like shorting. You really have to know what you're doing. And risk is amplified. Risk is even more amplified if you're leveraging or borrowing money in order to do this as well. So there's all kinds of ways to invest in the market, whether it's going up or down, whether you feel great and wonderful about the economy or whether you feel negative. Object of the game is to make a bit of money, be wise about it, caveat emptor. Thank you very much for your time.